one chart paper, right? Uh, but kudos. I think every team has done a wonderful job. I had a chance to uh, sneak and have a look into what was going on. And some teams I also pestered. So sorry about that. Hello. Yeah. Right. So, friends, welcome back. I hope the lunch, the most difficult thing in any meeting is to do anything after lunch, right? But I'm sure you never realize that you had lunch. You'll be ready for the next thing very soon. Okay. So, without doing much ado, I think we are all eagerly waiting for everyone to share their group findings. And I don't want to come in way. So what I'm going to only do is call group wise and say group one, and then group one will come, and uh, we'll have some sort of a time. We are not keeping time, but some sort of a soft time push nudge from our side. So 3 minutes. And if the same topic has been discussed by any other group and the same point has been covered, then just move on and build on, bring the new point that you have. We have taken some nice photographs which will be on the social pages. The also from this stage, from this point onwards, we're also doing YouTube live. So all of you will be on YouTube live also. So dress yourself well. I go on the same. Why are you very tired? Okay. Right. So I hope everyone understands that, right? And once we are done with this, then we also want you to listen to, Pat Goldstein is a master in this field. She's been running a Youth Impact Lab for a long time, and she wants to share her, the findings. The background में आवाज आ रही है. Yeah. So she will have the pleasure of also listening to her. So that's the agenda from here on. So can I now welcome, and we'll enjoy this. So when I say welcome, then we have to cheer up the group which is coming, right? So can I now welcome group number one to come on stage? Yes, group one, and team leader, Malini ma'am. All the members of group one, you are all, don't desert your group.
Suddenly the group members have gone.
Yeah. Mike hai. Mike hai. Ron.
Very good afternoon. Delighted to be a part of Team 1, and a big round of applause to my team members who are such amazing contributories to this beautiful sheet that we have created. And I'd like to take you through the journey. And the theme that we've been given is entrepreneurial skills for building social and emotional skills. So it's a very, very relevant topic, and I like to start with a quote by Henry Ford. It says, "If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. But you're right both ways. It's just about your thought." Right? So that is the thought with which I would like to start. And taking on from where Dr. Pandey left, he talked about the startup culture, and he talked about our Honorable Prime Minister and how he gave a big push to the country, which now stands in the middle and at the top of G20. So a bit of statistics. 400 startups in 2014, 85,000 startups in 2022. That is the journey of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial skills that our students, and I would say students because the ones who did all of this between 14 and 22 were with us in school during that period of time. So kudos to all of us. We must have done something right to get it right. So the culture of think tank, which was first mooted by him, and of course AIM. Finally, today we are standing tall with 108 unicorns to the credit of India, which is, I think, a fantastic number, not seen in any other country. So we are talking about connecting the entrepreneurial skills ES to SCS. I am sure all of you are aware of SCL, which is social emotional learning. And we talk about the 3 S's and the 2 R's in SCL. Now I'd like to connect it through this. We'd like to take you through the journey of an entrepreneur and what is it that ensures that these skills come naturally to an entrepreneur, and if these skills are there in an entrepreneur, he manages it well, and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. So we will just connect the skills and the ideas. First is an entrepreneur is somebody who would walk not the path but create a path for himself. He is a path breaker and a maker rather than a path follower. So moving away from white collar jobs to from being a job seeker to a job creator and a job provider. The idea that hounds him and prevents him from sleeping. If you remember the quote which talks about ideas should make you wake up in the middle of the night. That is the idea that you can build on. So therefore, the idea that is a passion drives him to move from the very secure standard jobs to something that he can create for others, opportunities that he creates. The opportunity that he gets, makes most of it and makes a success out of it. If he doesn't, he knows how to bounce back, modify it and adapt accordingly. So a few pointers for you. Ideation, thinking of a new idea, being socially aware of the problems that are rife in our local environment, to pick up those problems and find a way, a solution, because he feels for the society he wants to contribute to the world at large. Self-belief, so confident that he can say no to everything that comes on offering, and that would be an example from IIT, the very institution that we are standing in. So many of the IITians have refused jobs in the MNCs and have said, we will take the path forward to be an entrepreneur. So that was highlighted in the newspapers and I'm sure you're aware of it. So breaking away from the toed line, but being ready to take any kind of risks that come his way to improve the life of commoners. And of course, knowing fully well that it is a path full of thorns. It is not a bed of roses, and therefore the fight is long and arduous. He needs to be patient and she needs to be patient to ensure that it is gender sensitive. And an independent thinker, fierce independent thinker who wants to live life on his own or her own terms, and being open to criticism and absorbing ideas from outside so that it constantly tweaks his ideas to improve. Reaching out, doing pilots, doing surveys so that he gets a feedback from others, and being resourceful enough to take the opportunities of the world and bring it to his forum. Being very, very financially literate so that he can create a profit model out of this and to market it to the world, and being digitally literate. The skills that he would or she would develop in her or his workplace would be collaboration, working in a team, taking and leading the team, being an excellent communicator so that he ensures all those who join his team buy into his idea and are able to push that idea. Work ethics being strong because he or she was always idealistic. he or she dreamed of an ideal world. So the cultural, ethical dilemmas that he or she is faced with is dealt with wonderfully. And diverse in thought, diverse in absorption and of ideas, cultures, being inclusive in his or her workplace, but most importantly, being very, very positive about everything that takes place in his area of work. Being self-aware, and taking complete responsibility for his or her actions, and knowing that what she or he does will have a large social impact. Growth mindset is an important aspect, and of course continuous research for improving the product that one has invested in, or an idea one has invested in, and to ensure that the green environment is looked after, being sustainable in his or her ideas, and of course being a team player and a team leader. So I'll just request every one of my team members to say one little thing so that our team is well represented. And how does it ensure that ES contributes to SES? We know that all that I've said about success, failure, resilience, and bouncing back from failure, learning from doing, is all about social emotional awareness and skills. So the moment an entrepreneur sets off, I think we would find these skills inherent in him or her. May I request you?
Good evening, everyone. I can only say one word, key word for everyone. Be aware, see the society, take out something from the society, and innovate your ideas and create your institution, maybe virtual, practical, and just throw these ideas, those institutions for the common public. That should be our lead of life, and we should be confident, and we should give something for the society, for the common man. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to highlight two important points about your entrepreneurial skills, which lead to social and emotional skills. I think empathy, and because not compassion. I mean, we all understand educators' is difference. So being empathetic is very important, and also critical thinker. Of course, the green skills and everything else will come in this generic terms. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I believe that whenever you are going, look after various ideas which we can take up and which we can develop. Because whenever we are going, there are various ideas, and if we are looking for the solutions, we can start for, we are having a lot of startups which can be taken. Thank you.
Idea box on campus instead of company box.
So we are dealing with mostly underprivileged children, and the mindset, many of them, they are having the ordinary mindset, that is, they say, nobody is giving me a job. You are not giving me anything to do, so I don't have anything to do. So this puts me off. But now with the introduction of entrepreneurial skills, and we are mobilizing the whole school. Otherwise, there were one or two coming up with these skills. But now the whole school, all the children are going to be mobilized, and we are mobilizing, and it is a good success. Thank you.
Senator, can I have you on the mic first? I missed your photograph. Permission on the chair. Ma'am, I've taken your photograph. Can I have this photograph?
Yes, thank
We are from the same school.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right, is there any other team with social emotional learning? Yeah. Yeah, can you come here and just build upon the thoughts? Right. everyone. I think we were the smallest group, just three of us. Huh? She's Harshita from Navy School, Madhu ma'am from Karnal, and I'm Khalik Ahmed from Delhi. So we together made this. I'm surprised that there is no short form of entrepreneur, which I always fumble with. So I'll call it entrep. Right? So entrep skills strengthen socio-emotional skills. That was our topic, and we started like that. That entrep skills is a basically goal-setting thing, goal-setting skill, and goals have to be smart goals. So I think we all know about smart goals. Will somebody repeat it for me? Smart, F for specific, M for measurable, achievable or attainable, right? R for realistic.
Time bound.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful, great. And then to accomplish these goals, we need to understand the needs of the society. And to understand the needs of the society, we need to communicate in an effective way. We need to be self-aware. We need to have empathy and take informed decisions, do the problem-solving things, learn to value relationships. An entrepreneur or an entrepreneur will always do all these things in a right way. Then there are some emotional skills as well, which we say like understanding the problems of the society, developing empathy and self-awareness, learning to manage the emotions and the stress. That's really, really important for an entrepreneur. And finally, things were supposed to be used while people were supposed to be valued. But the businessman started using the people and started valuing the things. But an entrepreneur will always do the vice versa. He will always value the people and always use the things in an accurate way. Thank you very much. I invite my team members to say a few words.
Good afternoon. So when we are teaching our kids to be entrepreneurs in this 21st century, in a way we are telling them to be goal learners. We are asking them to set their goals. And to accomplish the goals, we teach them how to develop interpersonal skills. And while dealing with the society, they understand the problems that the society is facing and they learn problem solving skills as well. So entrepreneurship skills, they strengthen the socio and emotional skills of the learners as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I feel that our students need to go beyond the rote learning process, and also that they should inculcate in them the process that they have to be risk takers than risk averters. And that's something that has to come within them, and as teachers, we should be able to encourage them to take more risk, and the parents and the teachers and the counselors of the school, I think they should be there to help them out to think that way, that they can take risk further and their ideas as well. Thank you.
Group number 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this team 2. So we are trying to talk about, not trying, we are talking about NEP and how it has been, able to address this 21st century skills, right? So I think most of us and all of us really thought that many of these things have been addressed, but a lot still needs to be addressed, and many things still in theory, but we need to sort of have that translated, into action. So that is one important sort of, disclaimer kind. And some of the points which have been mentioned here, this art integration and the STEAM learning. From STEM we are there. So now art integration is also happening. So we have moved to STEAM. Then we're talking of the blended learning, and even this multidisciplinary approach. So I think CBSE and even this NEP has been talking actually for many years. There are no these watertight compartments of arts, science, and commerce. However, what had happened possibly because of problems in schools of teachers and timetabling and so on, and also that ground realities are there. But I think gradually we are moving away from that. Then the structure, 5 plus 3 plus 3, 4. Right, what they're saying, in the initial years, the 5 years foundational literacy and numeracy, and as we move ahead to middle secondary and senior secondary stage, we are talking then of, experiential learning and so on and so forth, project-based learning, vocational learning, class 10th or 9th, 10th, and then beyond. Then research and innovation. I think this is always there, but however, I think we need to do more and more of this, and then try and sort of come up with newer ideas, and these platforms like this and meeting each other definitely will help. And also these the ATLs and others in our schools, I think that has gone a long way to do it, right? And I think it is definitely helping us. But only thing we have to change our mindset. The parents have to change their mindsets that it is not only scoring marks, in the board exams, and which will help. And what else? Yeah, vocational and skill education. I think so. Skill has to be there. This education is knowledge, skill, attitude. Knowledge we are getting, skill is much less. So we know 90% of country is unskilled or semi-skilled. And then the attitude. So both because of this skill and attitude, the problem of all unemployability and so on and so forth. So I think government over the last few years have come up with many of these skill sort of thing, including the entrepreneurships and people like Mr. Shivesh, Shivani, and everybody, I think, trying to build on these. I think, reforms in school. I think this is a big problem that all of us are school leaders here sitting, but we are not trying to break our own sort of mindsets, right? So CBSE has some guidelines. Unless we do that, I think it will be very difficult, for us to sort of. In fact, there are teachers there, Shushma, and there is one other from my previous, Sonal. I was in Patna, so that time, this 2 years ago, I said, don't do exam. The CBSE came up, and this is the right time to sort of do your own way. But that didn't happen. Again, then CBSE came. So I think we have to get out of these exams mindset, grades, and so on. So I think things will be much better. And I think that is what I feel NEP and the 21st century skills is trying to this one. But we as leaders, we have to initiate and do something very different. Just one small story. Yesterday, there one class 3 student came to me. I was going past the foundation, block. So this boy, that the teacher there, he said, he has a problem. You please answer his question. So he said, sir, how electricity is produced? Now that class 3 child is asking. Sorry, I can't tell you. I asked Mr. Himanshu of our ATL, I asked him to please take him to the ATL lab and show him the circuit and let him see how things happen. So I think that is the kind of curiosity I suppose that we have to develop in our schools and campuses. Thanks. Yeah, our team members.
Thank you, sir. Sir has already spoken about the most important thing over here with our topic is how NEP is addressing the 21st century learning skills. And that's what is very important here. Are we actually addressing the 21st century learning skill with the NEP 2020? So that's what we have already covered the pointers. But when we talk about the reform in the curriculum, I think there we all agree with this point. We are still after marks. We are still after syllabus. So unless and until we are out of it, we cannot cater to the creativity. We do see a lot of project-based learning skills, the projects that we do in ATLs and in the labs with the science, We do a lot of experiments and all. They learn collaboration, communication, but yet the real creativity, which is then multidisciplinary skills that we talk about, is still lacking. Because somewhere this reform, actual reform, is yet to happen. So unless it will happen, I think the real 21st century learning skills, we are yet to reach to that level. So that is one thing I want to talk about. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As already mentioned by my team members, that we feel that NEP is on the right lines and it is addressing the 21st century skills, no doubt about that. It's a very good policy, but the only hitch is as to how well will it be implemented. You know, the mindset takes a lot more, it's a lot more difficult to change anyone's mindset. And I think Indian population's mindset is to be changed, it takes a lot, you know, it will take a lot. First and foremost, I also feel there's a major disconnect between even say NEP and what our higher education system is demanding. So till there is this disconnect, we will have quota factories, we will have dummy schools. No one is going to be bothered about what NEP is trying to teach us through our schooling. So citizenship, value education, skill building, everything goes for a toss because all we're concerned about is cracking that one entrance exam, which quota factory will help, not school, according to the Indian mindset. So till that time that disconnect stays, I don't think NEP can be successful. To be successful, we have to, bridge that gap. The curriculum which we are teaching in schools as of now is outdated, so curriculum has to be changed. The exam system, not just for schools, but also for the colleges has to change. So, getting a very updated system or curriculum for schools, and then going back to rote learning in Delhi University or any other university, it again doesn't solve any purpose. So I think that also is something we need to look at. And one more thing, when we talk of NEP also and all these pedagogies that when Beth asked about experiential learning and project-based learning and inquiry-based learning, we are still talking of just a handful of schools in the whole country. The country, 70% of our schools are in rural areas. Are they even familiar with these technical words, this terminology? So if NEP has to be successful, a lot of effort, a lot of hard work has to go into the implementation, and a lot of creativity has to go into the implementation itself. That's what I would like to say. Thank you.
Say a few words.
Very good evening, everybody present here. Only thing to say, very much inspired with the name Unconference. Add the word unboxing. Boxing to unboxing. Like once we pack the things, then we deliver. Again, our curriculum prepared. So again, unboxing and if you remember, our grand people's knitting of the sweater, removing it again, giving it a new shape. That drastically is required. That's what I wanted to mention here. And one thing, thank you. Actually, इसमें steam भी किया जाता है, तब उसको wonderful weather. Again, knit it properly and give it entirely to a new shape. Right? So that same sort of things is required actually in education system. Things are same, the people are this side, people are that side also. The thing is this, how to intervene, how to bring reforms. So unconference, unboxing and restarting the things again. That's what I wanted to mention. Generally at the closing of every session we talk about the feedback, we want take away. My addition is reflection. Reflection from the session, which comes out through our deeds. Like after attending this seminar, what we are going to do. Are we really going to, whatever we had a word with each other, whatever we are sharing, are we going to reflect it somewhere through our actions? That's right. The reflection is important. So try to be reflective. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We are discussing about NEP, how it is addressing 21st century skills. Well, we have just projected it here. NEP does focus on 21st century skills, but adequately, that is the question to be answered. Because when we come to the implementation, it's a beautiful policy on paper. But when it comes to implementation, the problem that we face in our country, the variations that we have in the cultures and the regions, that needs to be addressed. And I believe that we as educators have to play a prominent role in that to cover up those variations and actually make it implement. What I meant was we as educators are the change makers here. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Lot has been said. The only thing which I would like to conclude our presentation is with, we have to make our children adequate with the jobs they are going to handle out of school. As it has been already pointed out that there are only 2 lakh jobs for teachers, and how many, like maybe I believe 10 lakh people are coming up for that job. So this is high time. Our curriculum is outdated. It needs a change. What I studied, my child is also studying the same. This is really outdated. We have to create jobs for this century. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, this is fantastic. The flow is going on so well, right? And I'm enjoying all the points which is coming. I just have a request from all of you, and I hope you're, no, not, no, I really want this discussion to go on, but I just want to take liberty of changing the sequence. Beth, she has to catch a flight, and she has to be, so can I, with your permission, allow Beth to first speak, and once that she's done, then we'll carry forward this dialogue between us. Right? Is it okay? Yes. Right? So give a round of applause to Dr. Beth Dorsey to come on stage.
Great. Thanks, everyone. And I loved the conversation. And I hope I'll be building upon it. That is my goal. So I want to tell you, I don't know if any of you know anything about Babson College, but I'll just give you a little bit of background as well as background about myself. And I'm going to give you some data which supports a lot of what you're saying, and give you some ideas about how we've done this at Babson. And if anybody wants the slides, I'm more than happy to share, so you can get those at the end. So just a little bit, very briefly about me. I actually am a business person by background. I have an MBA. I taught entrepreneurship for many years. And in my mid-50s, I'm in my late 50s, I was in my mid-50s, I decided to go back and get my doctorate, which is, I was probably one of the oldest students in my classroom. And being a student, by the way, is humbling because it makes you realize how people are learning, right? That unto itself. And my doctorate's around the role that entrepreneurship educators play in helping students develop entrepreneurial self-efficacy, which is really what you were all talking about, that agency, that belief that they can actually be change makers. And so I've been teaching for a long time, but now my focus is much more teaching around the role of educators in K through 12 schools. And I'm here with Deeksha. If you haven't met Deeksha, she's an MBA student at Babson who will be working with us full-time once she wraps up her master's. Babson College, if you're not familiar, has actually been ranked #1 in entrepreneurship for 29 years. And there's a reason it's got such a global presence. And it's because of a lot of the things that you were all talking about. We're looking at entrepreneurship as a skill set that enables change, that helps create these leaders. And I want to share some of what we're doing so you have a better understanding. So I am part of the Youth Impact Lab, and that's the one area of the college where we actually focus on K through 12. I do teach on campus, but our focus is really working with educators to help all of you and your teachers really learn how do we deliver this. I heard a lot of you say we need a new curriculum. We need to think about how we do this differently. And I want to share with you that. But first, I want to share our big why. And this is what we've been focused on, is this generation in crisis, exacerbated by what's happened post-COVID. And we're actually really not post-COVID, but we all know we're at least back in school. There are widening gaps in equal access to education. Global learning poverty has increased significantly. We know, at least in the US, math scores, reading scores are all down. But of equal disturbance is this lower self-esteem. These are kids who've been out of school for a year or two at critical stages where they haven't really had that communication, right? Online learning, if you were able to facilitate it, still you're missing some really growth potentials. And you all know this. You see this every day. I'm preaching to the choir. But what happens with this is resiliency levels decrease, right? That power to keep people going. We're understanding that failure is okay in many aspects. And increased stress and anxiety. We see this in the US. It's really horrible. My daughter's actually a therapist, and the number of kids in crisis is really disturbing, along with mental health issues. So all of these have created this generation that really requires a change, and the change that many of you were talking about. And these are just facts, and I'm again happy to share if anyone wants to know where did all this data come from. UNICEF and the World Bank are all talking about learning poverty, the loss of math, and lower math scores, and performance and resiliency. So, and some of these are U.S. numbers, most of them are global numbers. I'm just sharing this because I want you to at least have the data, or I'll know that I can get you that data. So at the Youth Impact Lab, we actually look at what we call these power skills: resiliency, this agency, these social emotional skill sets that you were all talking about. Because we know that kids who we can empower have higher graduation rates from high school and are more likely to go to college. Their employability is higher. And while I actually haven't put, there's a ton of data on what are employers looking for, and it's these social emotional skills, it's these leadership skills. A couple of you said we're not teaching skills for the future generation. In the US, trust me, we have the same issue. And we know if we're able to facilitate these other learning capacity, now we're teaching for future generations because we're setting the right baseline. Also decreases incarceration, drug, alcohol, things that come along with this lower self-efficacy. And our goal is to improve mental health issues, which we know are on the rise. So how do we do that? Realistically, we can only, as a college, actually train about 200, 250 kids a year. It's obviously, we're really much more in the higher ed space, but we do summer programs. So as a business strategy, our work is with educators, like you, like the teachers whom you work with, because if we can empower 250 educators each year and taking very, low numbers of 25 students per teacher for 15 years, what we can do is really empower over 1 million kids, right? And so that is our mission, right? And many people have come in and said, oh, we want you to teach our kids. That's not the best way to scale or grow what we're trying to do, what ThinkStart is trying to do, because ThinkStart is doing very similar, powerful work. So I have a quick question. How many of you consider yourself to be an entrepreneur? Just a show of hands. Okay. I'm counting less than 10 of you. All right. So talk to the person next to you and complete the sentence. An entrepreneur is somebody who, so quickly, whoever's sitting next to you, how would you complete it? Talk to each other first for a minute. All right? And then I want to hear your thoughts.
And can we make money out of it?
Yeah, okay. Well, give me a second. Did you share it with the person next to you? Okay. So an entrepreneur is somebody who
Who is the leader?
Who's a leader?
Creates opportunity.
Creates opportunity.
Who is innovative?
Innovative.
Innovator
Okay.
comes with sustainable
Oh,
idea.
collaborate. All right, I'm hearing lots of powerful words.
Sustainable idea.
Facilitator.
Fulfill
Okay.
the demand of the society.
What did you say?
Fulfill the demand of the society.
Fulfills demand society. Social. All right.
Man who has the idea, who has the capability to change his dreams into ideas.
Okay, great. What?
Ownership of his dreams.
Ownership of his dreams. These are brilliant. Now I want you to say to yourself, do I do that? You all do that. You are all entrepreneurs. Think of what you just said. I didn't hear a single person say start a business. So kudos to you, because that is not what entrepreneurs do. Now, I'm going to ask again, how many of you are entrepreneurs? All right, thank you very much. All right, you all get A's. So here's Babson's definition. Entrepreneurs are people who use their skills, their knowledge, and their experience to organize resources, serving as leaders who act on opportunities and create social and economic value. In a word, I call that change maker. In another word, I'd call that educator, right? You all play such a critical role in changing the world by doing that through your students, okay? So you all keep saying, I am an entrepreneur. And our approach is that entrepreneurship is not a personality trait. Kids are not born to be entrepreneurs. They may seem that way because perhaps they've had some great role models, which we know is an important part of learning. But it's really about how they think, what they do, how they approach problem solving. That's really what it means to be an entrepreneur. So how do you cultivate change makers? That was one of the questions that you all were thinking. And you all were thinking very, very broadly. But I will say, let's get more narrow. How do you change people, young people, to become individuals who possess a different mindset, a different approach, right? Who become obsessed with problems or obsessed with opportunities, but think big and think, I can do that, right? Learning driven, Dr. up here before talked about learning driven growth mindset, not afraid to take action. And that's where the experiential part comes, right? We sent you all out there, you were all talking, you were acting, right? How often do we do this with the kids? Just send them out, just act and collaborate. And this is a big one. Most people think, oh, Steve Jobs sitting in his garage with Steve Wozniak, who I actually met a couple years back. It was fascinating. Just the two of them, they just worked on it and created Apple. Quite innovative. Yeah, there were a lot more people involved. Yes, there was a brain behind it, but you've got to be able to get others to enlist them in your journey. And we do this by really focusing on the UN global goals. Through my last 2 weeks here in India, I've seen many, many young people, some who are privileged, some who really clearly are not privileged, whom the UN global goals affect very personally. So the greatest challenge, and I'm not going to have you do this because you've actually been doing this, is to think about how do you create teachers, or how do your teachers create and cultivate young youth who can become these change makers, who can solve the problem. That's the problem we asked ourselves. We've been doing this for a long time with college kids and MBA students. But how do we get a 12-year-old to realize they can be a change maker and convince our teachers that they have the power to do that? So the educator role is so critical because educators, when they use a student-centric pedagogical approach, meaning they're not the sage on the stage, but they're letting the students do the work, create a totally different atmosphere. And that atmosphere is one that creates students with the self-confidence, with this resiliency, with this grit and growth mindset, who then might start a business, but most importantly, will create social impact. And when the educators see that, that actually reinforces their use of more student-centric experiential pedagogy. It's a circle, right? And it's really dependent. But the teachers need to get this feedback that, oh wow, I did this in my class, I experimented, I wasn't lecturing, and what happened? These kids are doing these really amazing things, right? And Shivani, you were mentioning a couple of cases where the teachers started seeing, oh wow, the kids are winning these competitions. That feedback is really essential. But you have to get the teachers to act first. Because all of those things then end up really creating economic value and reducing poverty and reducing inequities. But it has to start someplace. It's the chicken and egg phenomenon of how do you get the teachers to do this? And do they feel they have the power to? And I know I'm hearing from all of you, some of the curriculum, it's doing that, and others may not be. So I'm going to give you quickly 7 tips or ideas from our playbook. And then I'm more than happy to, of course, answer questions. So our first rule for experiential learning is to reinforce it through things like role-playing, team projects, situated learning, getting kids to do internships, getting them to really act. We don't want them sitting, okay? Active in learning, and I'm hearing that many of you are doing that, so, which is great. I'm a big believer in Cole's experiential learning cycle, probably most of you are familiar with it, but it makes a lot of sense. And the first part is go out and have an experience. And then we heard in the last session, reflect on it, reflect on it. Reflection is a big part of this. The second is creating scaffolded courses. Courses that really build on each other, right? We know that sometimes these short little courses, especially for the ones we run, they don't change behavior. You have to build, right? So you've all hopefully reflect after today, the dialogue has been amazing, but what do you do next? How do you build on it? Maybe you have another session. We were talking before about how lonely it can be to be a school leader, right? Who do you talk to? Who do you connect with? There's so much power. There was such great dialogue going out there. There's a hunger. How do you build on that? Our program, our youth program, which we actually train teachers to deliver, is scaffolded. It's a building process where we teach them Babson's methodologies called entrepreneurial thought and action, and we marry that to the UN Global Goals, where they learn about who they are, but at the same time try to understand how do they fit that into the world? How do they see poverty, other disparities, unequal access, gender issues arise, and how does it affect them? And then we get them to really work in teams and think, what can we do? What's a problem that we as a group would work on to solve? What is a UN global goal? They ideate, they do prototypes, and they build their leadership skills as they actually start to, we call it rocket pitches. They do 3-minute pitches of, here's a problem, and this is a solution we've come up with. We build on emotional intelligence. We also do your typical business, marketing, finance, and operations. But that's the second part. That's where we take their idea and try to help them understand, how do you make this social impact project work? So the class content is built on each other, and it's all experiential. It's get out there, talk, learn, fail, and understand, how do we improve? Rule number 3 is about integrating social justice concepts. That is something we think is really important. I was meeting with a foundation in Chennai yesterday, and they were talking about their family business, and the reason why their third generation family business continues to be successful is because they actually have social impact, social justice built into what they're doing. In our courses, we have students selling. These are pictures of kids at Babson who are selling, for example, Beatown Blankets was a business started by an 18-year-old who, while in high school, had thought about this, worked with his team to develop these blankets to give to people who were homeless. What he did was, for every one he sold, he gave one to a homeless shelter. He graduated from Babson and now has been running this business incredibly successfully. All started when he was 18. So we have other projects where kids go to Ghana. These are real world activities that make them say, oh, I can do this. Rule number 4 is entrepreneurship content, whether it's finance or leadership, but aligns with the appropriate pedagogy, right? So it's, Diksha and I met with students last week from one of the schools here, and they said, a lot of what we get is theoretical, but we're not learning real world. So it all sounds great, and this is how the business starts, but it has to be really applicable. Team-based learning is rule number 5, right? And all of these, you're probably thinking, oh, we do this, we might do that, but integrating all of these is essential because entrepreneurship is not a sole practice. It really is about people working together. Reflection. Reflection in a safe environment is critical. We don't want kids just to learn. We want them to change their attitudes and their beliefs. So we do in our courses, every week they do a reflection. And then they actually have to comment on other students' comments and reflections because it helps build who they are and recognize, oh, other people are experiencing this. And learning that failure is not the end of the world is very powerful. And last, measure your impact. It is really nice to look at classes and say, did you enjoy it? Was the teacher responsive? But for me, that's not sufficient. That's an output, right? How many people attended a course? It's all about changing beliefs. So we do qualitative measures. We look at their reflections. We talk to them. But we also look at quantitative data. We used validated testing research tools to measure things like grit, self-efficacy, agency, growth mindset. And I'm excited to share with you what we found through our courses. So we're measuring, as you see, self-efficacy and grit. And this is actually one of our students she's in Delhi Public School. And she took our summer study course where we actually teach the course to kids. This is our only direct to youth program. And her comments, it was life-changing. It pushed me off my limits, inculcated a sense of passion to respond to societal changes, and equipped me with mentality to solve global challenges. It's empowering. she wrote this to me in an email, and that to me said, I had this was why I'm here, right? This is why I'm doing my job, which many of you, I'm sure, have had students who you've changed their lives, right? So what have we discovered? When we do pre and post testing, we've discovered statistically significant increases in their entrepreneurial self-efficacy, their critical thinking, and social awareness. All those power skills we talked about that we know really help set them up for improvements in life, and increases in their learning self-efficacy. So the spillover to academic success is clearly there. This is an example of some of, when I say entrepreneurial self-efficacy, people always don't know what that means. But this is what they felt like after taking the EPIC curriculum, our youth curriculum. They could work more productively under stress and pressure, get others to believe in their ideas, persist in the face of obstacles, inspire and encourage their team. This isn't about running a business. This is about the skills that set them up to succeed in life. And there, we also have a lot of other really cool data around this, but the most important to me is 83% of the kids said working hard in the course increased their ability to be successful in academic school achievements, right? Not just, I'm going to go start a business. This is the one I tell parents, right? Because they all fear, oh, you're going to, convince our kids to be Bill Gates and drop out of college, or not even go to college, right? I'm just going to start my little business. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We want kids to be academically successful. We believe in that. These skills help support that. But our educator teaching program also has the same effect, because we have when we train the teachers to deliver the curriculum, they actually go through the course. They deliver their own social impact projects, which is really cool, because usually they're educational projects, and many of them who've gone through it have actually said, well, we're going to continue this, right? Wow, this is a great idea we just came up with. Oh, and now, just like all of you, they said, oh, we realize we're entrepreneurs. And when you start to identify as an entrepreneur, now you have greater capacity to actually teach others to be entrepreneurs, because you understand you're not trying to teach, you don't have to know everything about finance. That's always the biggest fear of every teacher I've worked with. Oh gosh, how am I going to get them to do their financial analysis? I'm not worried about that. How do you get them to think creatively and innovate and see themselves as change agents is powerful. And when teachers think of themselves that way, they're better able to help their students do that. So since 2020, when we started running this, we've trained over 115 educators who have said that this has been an experience that really played a key role in their life, really made a big difference, was a disruptor. So just to make you aware, and I'm not here selling anything, I just an awareness, because people always say, well, how could I do this? We actually offer 2 different programs. We offer certificates for educators. We have one coming up, but it's 2.5 days in Costa Rica, which might actually be cool if you wanted that. But, and we have, this might be appropriate for some of your students. For rising juniors and seniors in high school, we actually have a summer study. Fully online, the kids spend 3 weeks and a day working with Babson professors, and more importantly, the Babson students, like Diksha, who was a mentor last year, which, by the way, is the coolest part of the program, because they learn how to develop a social impact project, and they get Babson students who are near peer mentors to them, really helping them think through the process. And they earn 4 college credits. So that was what I wanted to share with you. I appreciate the opportunity. If you email me or give me your card, I'm more than happy to share this presentation and answer any questions you may have. So that was, did I manage time okay? Was I? All right. Thank you all very much.
thank you, Beth, for this wonderful presentation and the lessons, right? The rules, and those rules are coming off what we have learned while teaching entrepreneurship. So I want you to go back first. Take a EPIC is a great program. We really need to think, but I want you to go back, and we were discussing. Colonel Prem Prakash's team, they were discussing NAP, right? So I want you to come back. I think there's one more team which discussed NAP. There was one more team which discussed NAP? No? Okay. So we have done group 1, 2, 3. Can I request group number 4 to come here on the stage and share their findings? Group number 4? Yes, please come. And we'll do about 5 minutes for the group.
I'll have your pick and just go.
Good evening to all. First of all, I just want to give a lot of thanks to you for giving the opportunity to be here, for discussing this nice topic, entrepreneurship. And I just want to thank my team also. We all just find out some points are here, we discussed together. First of all, our topic was why entrepreneurship matters in 21st century. But why we need that? Because in India, we are from India, and we know that main problem, high problem is the population. And population is more, it means in last time, in news I've heard that even in UP we are having the highest population as compared to the other countries. And population is more, but sources are limited. Resources are limited in our country. Jobs are limited. Youth are here. Youth are demanding for the jobs, asking for the jobs. But government and our resources not able to fulfill their demands. So that's why we are need for supplying some. We are just we can provide the opportunity to create jobs, and this entrepreneur is, we can say in one word, don't ask, just provide. Youth is here. The youth, those are demanding for the job. They cannot, no need to ask for the job. They can just become the provider, jobs provider. So don't be a job seeker. Is a job seeker to job provider. One other group already has told this point. And 3 groups per there, so mostly point they have covered this topic. But we all just discussed some points per there, so that's why I'm just telling one point. And now, limited resources are there, they are not able to fulfill their requirement. So that's why pressure increases and competition level is there among the students. Because youth is there, they are seeking jobs are not there, they are just suffering from the competitions, and pressure is there. And why we need that? Because of economic growth. Economic growth, if suppose any youth is there, we are just thinking for the idea. And then we are converting this idea into a innovative idea is there, we are just implementing and making one project is there. And then after that, in our school also some students are there. They are giving an idea for them. My colleague is here, teacher is there. So some students have create one idea. And we are just, one idea was there, I think, furniture. For example, when students have designed one furniture, desk. So when we ask from the students what type of furniture you need in your school for your desk, so they frame one type of furniture. Even we are not taking that idea, then the student can think over that innovative idea. They have made that one dustbin also they have fixed in that desk, and then after then they have just one portion for the bag also. They have kept one portion for the keeping the legs on that portion will be there. They can feel the rest on the desk and chair. So this type of furniture they have planned for that idea. Now after then job seeker to job provider, we can say in the short for the entrepreneur. And now, as second group was there, they are just explain about the NEP. And in NEP, in our school, in other school also, all the CBSE school, one skill course we have introduced as design thinking and innovation. That's why we are just joining this idea with the NEP. And design thinking and innovation. That is what? Because our students, those are just studying about this topic, design thinking, they are just using their mind, they are creating, they are just thinking for the problem. First of all, they are judging the problem. Then after that, they are just converting this, they are just trying to solve the solution for the problem. They are just using their creativity and then they are innovating that idea. So these all are there. In short, because time is short, we are just introducing my team members are there. In short, they are also will explain this topic.
No need to explain, I hope so.
One by one, you are there. In just one line.
Sir, yes, sir can add something, but I'll add only one thing. Thus, I think entrepreneurship is queen of all the streams. So all stakeholders should take care of this stream and give more emphasis on this. Thank you very much.
One word which has been misused and overused is holistic education. Right, in the schools. So 90% students, they do not go to colleges. Right, so we must have holistic education in true sense till school education so that they can provide the jobs, number one. Number two, we have limited resources as said by ma'am. No, at the same time, we are moving one resource to another place. Entrepreneurship is going to help this way to our country that we are using local resources to create some kind of jobs in the local area. Thank you.
Okay, friends, I like the word queen. क्या था?
Queen of all
streams.
Yeah, queen of all streams, right? Especially because you know, we as men we always think king of all. And it's also important why I'm taking this small pause, because many a times when we are listening to stories, I'm only hearing the word he. It's time that it's time that we start role modeling she entrepreneurs, right? So that's a larger, small, soft message from Think Startup team. Can I have group number 5?
Actually, we have still got that same topic.
Yeah, so just build upon.
Build upon that.
The team should please start.
Actually, I feel that I can keep these mics and I can speak loudly, you know. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Right? Very good evening to all of you. Mr. Ahmed said that he had the smallest team of 3 members. I had of 2 members, but I built on the entrepreneurialism skills and I had a team building. So, more diversified. Yeah, and we had a talk. And like, you know, they all are coming from diverse backgrounds. So my group consists of Yashika Jain. Quickly you can say which background you're from. Alright?
Entrepreneurial background.
Great. Kusum Bharadwaj. History. Debelina.
Psychology counselor.
Okay. Dr. Himani Kohli.
ATL in charge.
Great. Lavina.
Finance, accounts, finance, as ma'am was saying, it's a very difficult topic, but yeah.
Bhavna Agarwal.
Finance and business, of course.
Yukti.
Artificial intelligence educator.
Different streams. And Sushma, I am from bioscience background. Okay. So there's an amalgamation of different streams, and we will not go into detail. Everything is detailed here, points and all. I just wanted to talk that, when we talk of NEP 2020, all right, the fundamental principles of NEP 2020 emphasizes the life skills of, communication, collaboration, the teamwork and resilience. And also it talks of creativity and critical thinking, which will encourage problem solving and also will ultimately lead to innovation. So keeping in this mind, I think entrepreneurialism is actually encouraging all this. Okay, now looking at the current scenario, the job scenario if you see in our country, and I was reading somewhere that it has been predicted that, in another 10 years, there will be around 110 to 130 million, Indian citizens who will be looking for jobs in next 10 years. This is a humongous number, and the very fact, thinking of it, what our next generation is going to go through, we have to really rethink on the employability of this thing. And our Indian mindset is, government job honi chahiye, retirement ki pension milni chahiye. All right, this is the mindset which we have got. All right, and all the citizens, they generally what they're looking for, government job or maybe economy, what is traditional jobs and all. All right. Here I just wanted to share one thing. Government came up with a scheme of Agnipath. Colonel Prem Prakash was be doing much better. Agniveers they had, and wherein they were employing the youth for 4 years, and they're training them, and there was a lot of protests, but we are not seeing the positive side. At first, government cannot provide government job to each and every individual, which the public was demanding, maybe some political reason or whatever. Secondly, what happens is we should realize that when these Agniveers, when they come out from the services after 4 years of training, you have a more disciplined, skilled person there who is who can be an entrepreneur. All right, all the skills which are required for entrepreneurship, that person has it. All right. Anyway, this is my way of thinking. We have listed 10 points, regarding why entrepreneurialism is very, very important and it matters in 21st century. All right. I'll request my teammates if you can talk of any one or the other points here. One by one you can talk.
Good evening, everyone. Ma'am has already spoken, and even the previous group has already spoken about job opportunities. What I feel, the previous group has spoken about the economic development of the country. And I feel entrepreneurship actually create new markets. A market ki simple definition is not that Karol Bagh, Razodi Garden, Southex. Nowadays, after post-COVID and after all of this technology, you must have seen YouTube, food blogger, all these things, even these are markets. And we are so lucky to have one of our students, if you must have seen Sadi Gaddi. She's a food blogger, Priyanka Sharma, who is a food blogger, and she has created a new market. So this is what I feel that entrepreneur, when we recently called her to our school and she told, ki ma'am, in class 11th you asked me, kaun businessman banna chahta hai? So I raised my hand, ma'am, main to businesswoman banna chahti hu. And she was a very average student. So kuch hatke sochna. So she thought, why not to become a food blogger? And she's actually doing very well. She has a lot of millions of viewers following her. So she's earning pretty well. So I think so these are the fresh markets. Even the traditional professions, or you can say business, the level has increased. Pehle parlor wali hoti thi, now it is makeup artist. So what is this? and people from good families. Good families, daughter-in-laws are becoming makeup artists because this is, I think, so this is a startup only. It is a kind of a startup, kind of entrepreneurship. Moreover, what I have observed in many of your schools, Mr. Akhlas Oswami, I mean, I'm not supposed to take the name, educom people, they come and they actually take workshops. So it was like 8 years back when he came to our school, and when we asked him, sir, he said, I've done my MBA from IIM Indore. So we said, IIM Indore? And you want to come to a startup? You started with a startup? So he said, yes ma'am, 40 lakhs ka package chhod ke, four of our friends, they have started with this educom. So this is what our youth actually feels. You know, they feel that we should transform a developing nation to a developed nation. And when we talk about US, Japan, so they have done this transformation by becoming entrepreneurs. And we are very lucky to have such a youth. And I think so it is the need of the hour that people, the students should become entrepreneurs. And you don't need degrees also. Sorry to say, one of my class 11 student, I'm not saying that don't study, but yeah, one of my class 11 student, he's doing free dancing. He's doing many things, graphic designing and everything. So he's doing it. And now when we teach him business studies, so he's able to understand that with me. Because he's actually doing it. So all these things, because for entrepreneurship you need more of skills. And then yeah, education obviously, it polishes you. Moreover, just to add one more point, that new departments have been formed. Like recently, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, all of them, they have started with a different department, that is ecosystem banking. Ecosystem banking is that they're employing students or the people basically to interact between the startups and the venture capitalists so that they can provide finance. So many and many students, many and many people are getting into startups, they're becoming an entrepreneurs, and this is how I feel that after some years, India will be the most developed nation of the world. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So I'd like just to add on to one point that, an idea might be the first step, but definitely not the last step, which I take back from the entire session that, being an entrepreneur is about the idea, but it's all about the journey as well. Taking it all the way, turning it into the reality, right? So that's it.
I just say stop quota factory and be the job creator factories. We all are factories and we have to create job creators. Thank you.
I think only 2 points to note. Entrepreneurship, as ma'am said, I disagree because our resource person was saying, it's not everyone's cup of tea, yet challenges are there with everyone. Point number 2, India has no choice but to opt for entrepreneurship, given the fact that 65% of the demographic dividend which we have, which our respected Prime Minister has said, 65% people, youth category means किसी सबको job नहीं मिलेगा. So it is a need of the hour. We have no choice but to accept this and offer it to our students. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. So I want to just add a concluding line that we are living in the era of automation and artificial intelligence, where we have new upcoming softwares like ChatGPT, and also the job market is at its saturation level. So there is a one famous quote: "When life give you lemons, make a lemonade, and when opportunities doesn't knock your door, it's better to build a door."
Only one. I congratulate Startup Scheme on the collaboration of NBSC and our IIT. So congratulations. Today's topics are very good, especially today's scenario. Thank you. Thank you.
So to end it with, entrepreneurship is definitely going to provide students with a platform to build social and tech skill set, which is a requirement of 21st century, and to match the skills of the students with the global workforce and the 21st century skills. That is the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for bearing with us, the biggest team. And lastly, I just want to say that after hearing all this and whatever discussion we had, I just want to add on that, I feel that entrepreneurialism is, after going through all this, I can say that now we need to change or modify our saying, Jack of all trade, master of none, to Jack of all trade, master of one.
Thank you very much. Wonderful team presentation. Great point. Can I now request group number 6, right? 5 is done. 6 is done. 6 was done. So group number 7.
Group number 5.
You're 5? 5, please come. Now, what was your topic?
Pedagogical approach.
Pedagogical approaches. There's one more team with pedagogical approach. Yeah. So you build upon what they said. Just bear. Can I request to be on time?
Yeah, good evening everyone. I would like to thank on behalf of my team. Today, our topic is really a very crucial topic as we all have talked about the experiential learning we have. We have project-based learning, we have the many learnings we know. But how to implement these learning? It is the risk, it is a challenge for every teacher. Right? NEP has said that we have to do everything, like we have to do PBL, we have to do vocational trainings in our school, everything we have to do. But the challenge is we have short timetable, how we have to implement in our studies, because the mindset of the teachers as well as parents now that we have to get marks. Marks is the main focus. So my one point is we have to change in our pedagogy that we have to focus on evaluation as well. We have to do evaluation on activity basis. And we have to send the children for the vocational trainings or out of the classroom. Then we have to include their marks on that basis. We have to include the activity in the marks as well. Then it will change the mindset of the parents as well. That if my son or if my daughter will do the activities, it will be participated in the industrial training, it will be participated in advertisement show, it will be participated in industrial visit, or it will be participated in the job fair or business fair, it will be sell the prequels as my teams, home science team will do in my college, sell the prequels or their eco club monuments in my school. So it will be, must be evaluated in their result. First is let them free what they want to do. Let them free. If they are going in the computer lab, let them free. Either it is a student of first class, second class, fourth, do it. Whatever you want. Let them explore. That is cognitive approach. Let them sense, let them attention, let them perception. Next is identify the problems and let them find the solution, because problems are the opportunities to solve them. When they find the problem, then they find the solutions. Next point is, we have to focus on the vocational training, education, business idea presentation. That's all. I would like to call my team member.
So I can see the tension on Sir's face. So I will take just 2 minutes. You know, everything is very beautifully explained by Ma'am Beth. So no need to explain, right? But what I have learned in today's session, pedagogy is the art of delivering knowledge. Is I right? Yeah, na? So just I want to say the topic is how you can change a mindset of a child. So I think that we are a teacher. As we entered in the class, we should change our atmosphere. We don't stop your child to think. We always expect a good answer, but don't force your child to give a good answer. Always motivate your child to think differently. Think out of the box. Tell them to identify problem and tell them to find solution. Don't give your child solution. Tell him to find solution. So teach them empathy. So I think that we can make a change in the mind of a child. And sir, it's a platform. I just want to deliver one. It's my request because we all are the teachers. You know, in 45 minutes we are not able to teach child what we want. So if you want, sir, that the entrepreneurship increase in India, we should change the pattern of teaching in our school also. The timetable, the textbook, the evaluation, everything is we can change. So definitely we can change a mindset of a child also. First we have to change our mindset. So thank you very much, sir. It's really a very, I have learned a lot. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Again, a lot of points which was said was close to my heart and our hearts maybe, right? How are we teaching kids to fail when we are telling them to get highest marks, right? And if our assessment system remains the same, then can we crack this code, right? So we keep on saying, and there are lots of films now. The films are also playing good role, right? Three Idiots and all that, right? So, but the real thing is, would you, if you have a child, allow your child to fail? Would you allow your child to blow up your bank balance? I'm asking a hard question, right? I blew it up for my dad. I blew it up for my dad, and then I realized it hurts. Then I had to rebuild. Right? So I think all these cycles are there and learning happens. But the question is how do we allow that space? Right? Okay, so without much ado, next there was one more team on pedagogy, right? Team number 7, please come.
CBSE had this annual pedagogy plan. I don't know how many of us have done. Move ahead on that.
Good evening, everybody. So from the very beginning, and we have talked a lot. As teachers, we prove that we speak a lot in the class or on the stage, wherever we go, and teachers are used to. And
That's hurting the most. That's hurting the education most.
yes, that's it. So now things are changing. So we are becoming entrepreneurs, and we are making the children entrepreneurs. As I told you, so we speak a lot and we write a lot, and we have written 2 pages. You all wrote only 1 page, we have written 2 pages. Right. It is nothing but the approaches that we are adopting in the classrooms. Is there collaborative approach, and whatever we discussed from the very beginning. So we have put everything in words, and there is nothing new, and everyone is a witness to what we are doing in the classroom. The previous group was speaking about the same topics. I'm not going to enter into what we have read, what we have written here. So I wanted to be practical. Who is an entrepreneur? That was a question raised by Dr. Bay, and many answers were there, and I was raising my hands, but I was not able to give my answer. So the answer is, according to me, not doing different things, but doing things differently. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Yes. So let us start doing things differently in the classrooms, and let us give way to our children to think in a different way and do things differently. And that is going to make a future of our India. And so since everyone has covered all the points, whatever we expected, and there is a question. So how often we make our children think creatively and answer differently? If I ask you a question, if you say yes or no, and we just give marks, yes, your answer is right or your answer is wrong, and just we give marks, that's it. But do we give why it is right? Do we give a chance to the child to think in a different way? Why this answer is right and why this answer is wrong? If it is right, how it is right? If it is wrong, why it is wrong? Do we ask like that? Yeah. We all give true or false questions, but we never bother about logical reasonings. See, if we enter into that phase, So definitely, we need not think of anything else, but this approach will be more than enough to bring about experiential learning and entrepreneurship mindset in the minds of the children. And during the lockdown, once Mr. Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, pointed out whereas many companies were worried about people dismissing the people, firing the people from their companies, and he spoke about only one thing, and it was a management lesson he was giving, that scarcity leads to creativity. Scarcity leads to creativity. When we give the entire information or the entire knowledge to the children from the book, so the children are not going to think beyond certain limits. And leave some gaps, leave some blanks for the children to fill it up. Let them think and let them work, let them sit, let them collaborate, let them develop their skills and come out with new ideas. And if we, sometimes children may be saying, yeah, my teacher is the best teacher. Why? She teaches the lesson, she gives the question answers, and she gives good marks, and that is why she is the best teacher. Is it right? Are we just to the children? Not at all, I would say. If we give some point, somewhere, and if we give a blank for the children to think and fill it up, so definitely they are going to be creative and they are going to be on their own. And when you teach in the classroom, it is not. Let it not be a one-way process. Let it be an interactive session. How many of our classes are interactive? If 4 children stand together, and immediately what do we say? Sit down. Don't waste my time. Keep quiet. Correct? Is it right? Not right, but we are compelled to do so. We are subjugated to do that. But if we encourage them to get involved in group discussions and creative thinking and the other skills that we all have been incorporating in our lessons, so definitely we will make them believe in their own abilities. So somewhere that gap is there. So our school is a school where principal madam is sitting there, and she was speaking about our school, and we have most of the children from underprivileged background. Underprivileged, maybe they are economically or financially they may be underprivileged, but as far as mind is concerned, knowledge is concerned, and they are far better than anybody else. And CBSE, I am proud to announce here, CBSE has chosen our school for Southeast District, the hub school, which will be catering to thousands of children the skills courses in the coming days. So thank you so much.
A very good evening to a very wonderful listeners here. I would like to just add on a few points to sum up the whole thing. When it comes to pedagogy, it's a very, very vast subject because the entire schooling is based on the plan, the pedagogical plan which you make. So as educators, I think we need to think of 2 things if we are talking about entrepreneurship to be inculcating among students. How do we plan our annual pedagogical plan? Are we including and giving space to our children to have their own entrepreneurship skills to be presented or showcased? Are we giving space and scope and the opportunities to these students to self-experiment, explore, express, and examine as what next I can do? Are we giving some scope of learning by mutual understanding? Is it student-centric or teacher-centric? Is your plan giving student as a center and around the student the entire plan is run? This is the most important part. So if you really want to build up entrepreneurship as a skill and want to give opportunities to students. I think this is one thing which everybody has to work upon. Second, a teacher has to become a facilitator. The teaching has to be student-centric, cannot be teacher-centric. I know it is very boredom at times to listen to it, but you need to work on it rather than simply talking. How? The pedagogy has to change in the class. As we all know, I'm not going to talk about it when we talk about experiential learning, when we talk about project-based learning, when we talk about integration of subjects, when we talk about art integration, when we talk about sports integration. Is it actually happening? There we need to work. The next important point, every teacher need to learn the learner, which is the magic line. I repeat, every teacher need to learn the learner. Are we giving that scope of differential teaching in a classroom? So I think the backbone of the entire plan which we are looking forward is the teacher. The teacher has to be equipped and her motive has to be changed in the class. It is not only assessment and examination, it is churning out what best a child has and give opportunities to work upon it. I think only then we can actually work to make our schools as fruitful grounds to bring out students who have these skills of being an entrepreneur and work something for society in a different way and look at the society in a different way. Thank you so much.
Good evening to all. I would like to add about the curiosity of the students. That is more important, to think differently. In our daily routine school activities only, if we could be able to generate such kind of activities that it will raise curiosity among the students, how it happened, why it happened, what are its pros and cons, and accordingly it will help them to take their own decision and move ahead. Thank you.
Good. Good evening, everyone. And well, all the points are covered, but there's just one thing I would like to add. At some point of time, we all may have had some crazy ideas. We all may have thought that we can do something good about it, but there was one thing that was lacking. Somebody believing in you, and you yourself believing, in yourself. So, as Steve Jobs once said, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who actually do it. And you will always find such crazy people. Fine. In your class, there are crazy people. Just don't let them die. We and our education system, we keep on blaming the education system. Unfortunately, it is we who kill them. Fine. So that is the only request. You find a crazy person, believe in that craziness. Who knows? You might be looking at another Steve Jobs. Yeah, I have personally met students. I have some students who are not good in studies. We keep on saying they're average, below average, but they are the ones who actually have some brilliant ideas because they are thinking differently. They don't believe in the status quo, so they are thinking differently.
Silly is the new sensible.
Yeah, actually.
Silly is the new sensible. Silly is the new sensible.
Thank you. Wonderful. Right. Lots of great points again. Okay. Group number 8. 8, 9. Okay. 9. Okay.
How many groups?
Group 8.
You are in group 8, right?
We are group 8.
Okay, group 8. And is there 9 also?
No.
Okay, not 10 also. Right. Group 8? Then आप एक साथ कर लिया. Okay. So group 8 and then we will go for the. I'll take 2 minutes just to summarize something. Group 8 please. Can I have the sheet of the last team, the sheet that you were holding?
It's already been given.
Okay, right. Thank you.
So share the sheet with the
evening, everyone. We are the last group here, so we will obviously. I would like to applaud for the patient audience that we have, especially the sir. So, okay, our topic is preparing schools for innovation and entrepreneurship. Talking about CBSE schools, entrepreneurship as a part of the curriculum is not a decade old. It is only, I think, 5 to 7 years that we are talking about this as a subject. Me, as a part of Venkateshwar International, is taking entrepreneurship, but it is only restricted to, sadly, class 11th and 12th. But I believe entrepreneurship is a mindset which should be inculcated at a primary level, starting from the primary level, and then obviously it is world that is going around globe talking about entrepreneurship. So we have jotted down certain points which will help the educators to implement entrepreneurship at a school level. Talking about the points like, first of all, we need to know that necessity is the mother of innovation. Companies like Zepto, Blinkit, and Paytm. Students also can relate to such companies because they see their parents and observe that how parents are relying on the grocery products also on such online apps and ordering food. So when we teach through such examples, they will really relate to the topic, and obviously they will think about this on the same lines. This is what we believe, and this is how our teaching strategies should also modify. Then schools can also, have a separate entrepreneurial club as they have Atal Tinkering Labs, where they can brainstorm certain ideas and also collaborate with certain startups. Then another idea which I would like to add, that we can have any of the parent who is a businessman and who can spend few hours with the children talking about their own experiences, talking about their own problems, and how they can really inspire maybe 2 or 3 students from the auditorium full of students that can help a school also. Then we can have a field visit, a proper excursion, maybe to a mall, maybe to a factory, maybe to a bank, talking about the certain basics of finance literacy. When students at 5th and 6th class level, they know about concepts like cost, price, then they will start relating with the process of being an entrepreneur someday. Another adding to the list is we can also conduct inter-school events, especially for entrepreneurs. Budding entrepreneurs in our society, I think what they are lacking is only the motivation. As somebody here just addressed to this, that believing in craziness is what we are talking about. Thank you so much. It's a wrap. Thank you from my side.
See, this is a gathering full of minds who have wisdom, experience, and everything in your schools also. So there is nothing much to say. I would just like to bring to your notice one thing. When a child is born, who teaches them to crawl? When a child is growing to a year's age, who is teaching them to rise to a level to pick up something? Nobody. They are already a creator, they are already innovators. We just have to be a person who, just like a cook who teaches the recipe, let them cook. So I'll end up my say with a few lines from the song of Three Idiots. That is, give me some sunshine, give me some rain. I'll just alter it. Give me some time to live my life. Thank you.
Just try to wrap up the whole thing by saying, we have a lot of potential in our kids. They have brilliant ideas. They are a huge resource of ideas, and we just require to encourage and tap them. I, really enjoyed, and I appreciate what someone said, that we shouldn't have box of complaints. We should have box of ideas. And I'm sure this box will fill, to the brim every day. There are so many ideas in their mind. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. I think all of you deserve a huge round of applause for we are going to compile all the points and share this with you, because I think we collectively have been able to gather a lot of knowledge, and this knowledge needs to be shared with all the people who are here and also to a larger audience. So allow us about 4 or 5 days to consolidate it, about a week to consolidate into a nice document and share with you. Uh, my last few thoughts, because I heard a lot of things, right? And just to give you background, I was in the civil service. I left civil service, walked into education. And it was by pure luck that I was sitting in one classroom and there was a teacher who was there, who introduced this topic of entrepreneurship, and I was sitting in that class. This was the year is 2005. I really thought that if anything India needed was large-scale entrepreneurship education, right? And those were very, very early days. So 2009, I began experimenting entrepreneurship education. And initially, like anyone would be, I thought that this is for older people, higher studies, right? And we set up entrepreneurship school in Gurgaon. It didn't work the manner which we thought to work, but we ended up producing about 500, close to 400 plus entrepreneurs. Now, for a single institution, that would still be the largest in India, right? So, and it was for a person who started it, it was not an economic, financial success, right? The way world likes to see. And when Shivani came and she said that no, this thing has to happen in schools, right? Because when it happens in school, then you are building a muscle, you are changing the mindset, and then you are changing the generation, right? And this is the whole thing that brought Think Startup around. And we are only about, in March 23, we'll be 2 years old. But in the last 2 years, we have been able to touch close to 150,000 students through Youth Ideathon platform, right? And we are actually working with, on our mobile phone, these maverick students who someone calls backbenchers, or they're not listening to class, or they are breaking something. They would be going inside your labs, and you would not know what's there in your lab, and they might still know that ye bekar si cheez padi hui, chalo isko kuch karte hain. Right? So I keep on getting messages from all these chaps who are dreaming, and I really liked. Someone was saying, "Dream ke baad belief chahiye." So we had a tagline called "Dream, Believe, Do." Right? So all of us dream. The real challenge is in the education system, how do we make someone who's a dreamer to be a believer in that dream? Right? Mat karo, mat karo, mat karo, mat karo versus karo, karo, karo. So it has a different long-term impact. And then once you start believing, then how do you actually help someone, build that ecosystem where things happen, where someone is able to, fructify their dream. At least it becomes showcaseable, right? Because dreams are built on a daily basis. It's not that on day one I would have dreamt to build an Amazon, right? It didn't happen, right? It was a journey, and that journey took time. And every day Jeff Bezos would be thinking, and the structure of the company kept on changing until time it becomes available. So that's the journey. But as educators, I really think it's our responsibility to be nurturing that. And also in the extremely tight, ma'am, I've been working with going to schools and समझ में नहीं आता है कि स्कूल में बच्चा क्या करेगा, एग्जाम कब होगा, कब टेस्ट होता है, क्या होता है, स्पोर्ट्स होता है, all that. How are you managing? I still don't. Right? We just go there to talk and all that, but I think it's a super packed thing which requires unboxing. And someone really has to raise a hand and say that, look, this is not working. Because kids are not enjoying. They are dreaming something else, we are teaching something else. I just got a joke right now on WhatsApp. My friend, I studied here, right? And he said just a message कि यार कितना अच्छा होता अगर मुझे बचपन अपना वापस मिल जाता. फिर उसका आता अच्छा चलो मैं तुम्हें अब फिर से फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, बायोलॉजी, हिस्ट्री, इंग्लिश, ग्रामर पढ़ाना शुरू करता हूँ. तो बोला नहीं जाना मुझे बचपन में, मैं ऐसे ही ठीक हूँ. राइट? So just 1 minute. Okay, so that's it. Listen, we have been we have experimented with multiple stuff, and sometime we'll share with about those stuff. We are setting by clubs, and we created a complete pedagogy and learning plans for everything. But we are enjoying this, and we really want to enjoy it together. The one announcement, it could be early, but I still want to leave that thought with you, is we are working with the partners of AIM, Atal Innovation Mission, and we will soon be announcing some sort of teachers Olympiad on all 21st century skills things, right? Because the knowledge is still not crystallized. There's a lot of variation, but there are some icons, there are some star teachers out there, and we want them to be recognized. And then the knowledge to be transferred across the community, right? So that's something which is coming up. In principle, all of us have synced up on how to make it work. So that's there. While my co-founder, she will kill me right now, right? But I'm still sticking my neck out and saying, we are dreaming more. And it's just a dream, but maybe if you applaud more, then we'll make it real stuff. So we are dreaming, and we want to do a student startup expo. We want it to be the best in the country, where it will be all the, I'm not talking of ATL stuff, I'm talking of student startup expo, which we really want to be the best in this country, where every student or school who's trying more, we really want it to be somewhere in Delhi, maybe something around the city. So we want to seek your collaboration, and if you are in, we are all in together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have tea, coffee out there, safe place, and so on.
Sir had something to say.
Okay, yes, sir. Surinder sir, first.
Yeah, somebody very rightly said that we, the teacher, speaks a lot and write a lot. The day we stop there, we start listening, I think we will have the solution.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We have also teachers who join in late, may